You can support this show at patreon.com/ASAPodcasting. Hello, welcome back. Skyrim Addict Podcast. I'm Michael with Victor.
Good evening.
And Ray.
Hello, hello.
And we're going to get back into Skyrim. Even though I'm playing all the Valheim, my turn to switch to Valheim.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you're enjoying it. It's a great game.
Yeah, it's a time suck too, because when you start doing something, you kind of just get like, I just got to clear out this crypt and get all that iron. Oh, and then I got to load it on my boat and sail back.
Yeah, I hope I don't get sunk.
Yeah. Oh, the wind's going the wrong direction. It's going to take me an hour and a half to get back. There's a lot of that.
That's why you need to kill motor, so you can get the wind at your back.
I've heard. Yeah, I've been watching videos on it. And I'm like, oh yeah, I need something for like wind luck or whatever it is. Yeah. I played a little Skyrim though. I was still going through Return to Helgen, most of the way through the Dark Brotherhood at this point, and working towards becoming the Emperor.
Excellent.
Accidentally becoming the Emperor as something happens to the other Emperor.
Whoopsie.
Whoops. Sorry about that. Yeah. But that's I don't have much going on in that. I've just kind of been playing through that little by little. Just having fun with that. Just a real basic character and Return to Helgen. I do like Return to Helgen, I will say. Just adds a little something extra to it. Nothing crazy. But it's a nice like partner to if you're gonna go through like main quest and Dark Brotherhood and stuff like that. It kind of is like a nice partner to that. Adds a little more complexity to it and stuff.
Yeah, I'm going to check it out as an alternative to Helgen Reborn.
Mm-hmm.
I've never tried anything else. My latest build, I don't have Helgen Reborn in it at all. So.
Yeah, I kind of like how it it kind of essentially expands those without it. Like it's basically an expansion of those quests without really being full expansion. It uses them to jump off its quests, but. I mean, to become Emperor, obviously you have to kill the Emperor, so it kind of expands on those stories a little bit.
Yeah,
it's a nice.
How does becoming the Emperor tie into Helgen?
You become like governor, and then I haven't gotten fully to that part yet, but I assume it has to do with because you have the Thalmor running around, rounding up all the Talos worshippers, and then you kind of trick that, kind of thwart that, and then. You become an agent of the Penis Oculatius or whatever, and kind of goes.
Yeah. So a lot like real life. You start off in local government, then you go to state government, and then to federal.
Basically, yes. It's pretty much what happens.
You become Emperor, yeah.
You slowly go up the ladder, and then you become Emperor when somebody...
Who needs elections? Fuck that.
Somebody in front of you slips and falls, and all of a sudden you're Emperor. It's a very, very strange thing that happens.
Yeah. A tragic accident.
Yes, tragic accidents. But that's all I've been. That's all I've been doing. Nothing crazy in there. No crazy things happening.
Well, I dove back in head first after finishing Hogwarts. So, like I said earlier, before the show, I would say I went into Valheim and looked around. And I thought, I don't remember where the hell I was. And I don't remember what I was doing. So I just decided, well, okay, I'll go back to that other game. And I built a new character who coincidentally enough is a sneaky archer. Wow, what a surprise. But I thought I'd do a sort of an homage to one of the Skypothesis builds that I wanted. So he's a wood elf. And tried to sort of incorporate some of that story, but as I like to sort of go in and sort of let the game take me where it does, and so I started out as and he was at Steam Craig Camp. Actually, I had to reload it a couple times because I just did not want to end up at Solstheim, and for some reason, I don't know if it's just me or if this happens a lot with that alternate start mod, but it seems like at least 50%, if not more, of the times it reloads, it seems to end up in Souls time. I don't know. Anyway, I reloaded it until I got somewhere on, and he just wandered around from there. And so I've really been enjoying Hunter Born, doing a lot of hunting and camping and stuff, with an eye towards kind of working my way towards the Thieves Guild. And of course I interacted with Durak and I thought, okay, why not? So I'm going to join the Dawn Guard. But the main reason I wanted to sort of build this character up and part around with him a lot is there's so many awesome mods. So allow me to just gush about some of the newer mods that I've tried. There is now, I know that we have all you Ray in particular, and I have spent a lot of time messing with different tree mods and flora mods. So there is a new-ish mod now which does over all the trees in Skyrim, which is, I have to say, without hyperbole, the best tree mod in Skyrim so far ever. It's called Traverse the Ulvenwald. It's not a super big tree mod like Simply Bigger Trees or Enhanced Trees. They're all pretty much vanilla size, maybe a little taller, but girth-wise. But it's just superb. It truly is. The textures, the varieties, it's just fabulous. So highly recommended. And it's also Seasons of Skyrim compatible. So if you're into that, I've never been before, so I loaded that into this playthrough. I haven't been in it long enough to actually trigger another season, but Traverse the Ulvenwald has a Seasons of Skyrim module, if you want to call it that.
Oh, okay.
It's, I think on the mod page, it suggests a couple of grass mods, which I tried and didn't like as much as Vedashbrom, which I think is the best grass mod that I've ever used. So I've paired those two together along with Seasons of Skyrim, and it's just gorgeous. The whole game looks superb. For anybody who's looking for a new tree mod, Traverse the Ulvenwald is the bomb. And so I also loaded up a lot of the Simon Magus stuff, not the Rim, but the Simon Magus stuff, his alchemy and food and combat and magic and stuff, and that's fun. And for Thieves Guild, so this one was relatively new to me. It's called Path of the Thieves Guild. So it's a little bit like Thieves Guild Requirements. I think that was the mod where you can choose when to trigger various things. You can set in the MCM, you can set how many items you have to steal for various things to trigger. This one is like that to an extent, but it also adds a whole bunch of side quests. It forces you to do a lot more fetch quests, like if you want to call them that, in order to move through it basically just prolongs the Thieves Guild. Instead of, it takes, 3 levels to become the master of the Thieves Guild. You actually have to work at it.
You have to do work.
Yeah. I've had a few mod conflicts, but they have nothing to do with Path of the Thieves Guild. But it adds a really cool little alternate dialogue, which is there's a dialogue prompt in there when you have to do your at the beginning after the initial interaction with Brynjolf, and you go down to the Ratway and he gives you some jobs to go out and intimidate people. Well, when you go to those 3 people, you have a new dialogue prompt, which is, hey, don't worry about it. I'll tell Brynjolf that I beat you up, but I won't, which I thought was pretty cool. That's so you have a sort of a non-violent option there.
Yeah.
So there's that. And that's been working out pretty well, except for what's his name? The guy who owns the fishing place. It's not,
Oh.
whatever his name is, his wife, she's stuck with her head sticking out of in the marketplace in the center of town.
Oh no.
Yeah, I don't know. There's something else going on there, but and a whole bunch of people keep gathering down at the entrance to the Ratway. So I couldn't actually complete the initial Brynjolf interaction because everybody was in the wrong place.
Nobody was there.
Yeah, they were all up on the balcony of the Bee and Barb or somewhere else.
Oh
so
God!
Finally, Brynjolf's going, "Hey, what happened, dude? You know, it took too long." So at least the game was kind enough to, so I could move past that. There's some great new changes to somebody's building, redoing all the orc strongholds, right?
Ooh.
So Largashbur and one other have been done so far, and they're gorgeous, totally different. They look beautiful. They look like actual, really real strongholds now. Wow. Instead of just couple of issues with bugginess. The Largashbur one, if you try to start I forget what the quest is called, but their leader has become weak, and it's the Malacath quest.
Cursed Tribe.
Yeah. Yes. Atub, with whom you have to interact in order to get the thing kicked off, is stuck on the gate above, on the bridge above the gate. And I mentioned it to the mod author, but it's beautifully done. God, there's so many great things. New little carriage mods. There's a new carriage mod that goes with the carriage and ferry travel overhaul, the CFTO, where you get the you go to the carriage driver and he'll say, do you want to go straight through or do you want to stop along the way? And there's a couple of places you can stop, and it's relatively limited. He'll drop you off at Iverstead, but there's no carriage at Iverstead, right? And various other places. So you're a little bit limited. Well, there's another new mod now that adds a dialogue option. So you go into the inn at Iverstead and you talk to, what's his name? Wayland or whatever his name is there. Mm-hmm. And you say, and this happens to all the inns where there aren't carriages. Say, okay. Hey, do you mind if I wait can you call a carriage driver for me? And I'll just wait right here.
Nice.
And you sit down on a chair, and about 10 seconds later, in walks the carriage driver. Huh. And it's really cool. There's no carriage, but you interact with him and he takes you where you want to go. It's great. It's such a cool idea.
That is. So like Rorikstead, Shorestone, like those kind of places.
Yeah, all those places. Yeah. There's now a dialogue option with the innkeepers. So if by and large it works pretty well. If he doesn't come after you've waited for a minute or so, well, you might have to go outside, come back in, but he'll appear, sitting at one of the tables or something like that. And lastly, for the carriages, there's new texture overhaul for carriages, which just adds cool stuff in the carriage. There's bottles and bags and carpet rolls and stuff and a cover over the carriage. Just really nice little aesthetic mods. I'm sorry, I'm sort of gushing on and on here, but there's so much great stuff that I found.
Yeah, sound like great mods.
They're all of them really good. If you remember, we can throw them into the show notes. I'll send you a bunch of links. Now, bearing in mind, these are all PC mods, of course.
Yep.
So some of them may be available for Xbox, and some of them maybe.
Yeah, if you send me a list, I'll make a list in the show notes.
Yeah, I will. I will. I've been using Ruska, which is one of Eleonora's player homes that's available right next to the stables.
Oh, in Riften there. Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's a really nice player home. Very simple.
That's what I like. The basic ones, small, compact, have what you need.
Yep.
Some of the larger ones, I feel like I get lost in, and then I put stuff places, and I don't know where.
Yeah, they're beautiful. Like I think there was a brief discussion on Discord about Mirrorwatch that it's gorgeous, but yeah, it's a little bit buggy, and it's kind of a pain in the ass to get in and out of, and stuff. And I feel it's kind of the same way about Hendrheim. I like Hendrheim a lot.
Yeah, agreed.
But it's just there, at least on PC, there's a couple of, and with the Creation Club stuff, you need a patch to get the stuff actually above ground. Some of the Hendrheim stuff ends up, at least on my playthrough before I found the patch, it was all like sunken into the ground.
Oh, geez.
Yeah.
Yeah, the problem I have at Hinderheim is there's a tree that floats about 10 foot up in the air.
Yeah, so that's sort of the opposite. I don't know. It's probably depending on what mods you have loaded, whether it's below ground or above ground. Yeah.
Yeah, and my big bug with Mirrorwatch is that you have to go through a loading screen in order to get to the labs.
Yeah, inside the house, there's a second loading screen.
Yeah,
you're right. I forgot about that. That is a pain in the butt.
Yeah, that's frustrating. Yeah. It's one thing to have like your museum display area through a loading screen, but to have the crafting stuff through a loading screen.
Yeah.
When you're already coming in to the house as it is, I will say that's what I like about Tundra Homestead, at least. I mean, you have all the smithing outside, even, was it Golden Hills or whatever, the plantation. You have smithing stuff outside, and then you do have, like, obviously enchanting and alchemy inside. But
Tundra's great, when you first start out because you've got all that smithing and storage without, actually having to pay for it.
Yeah, you don't even actually have to get the house, and you can still use
you can use all the stuff outside.
Yeah.
This is true, actually. Yeah.
That never occurred to me. What a great idea.
Yeah.
Because it's like 7,500 gold, right? For that.
Yeah, I think it's 75.
To actually buy the place.
Yeah.
There's I think it must have this Thieves Guild mod that I have loaded. Also, offers a Path of the Thieves Guild. There's a player home in there as well for 7,500, but I bought it to see where it was. But again, it's the same kind of thing. You have to go from the Ratway where all the members of the Thieves Guild are. You go out, past where the urchin is, and back down in there, and then there's a new door that they've added, and you have to go through a loading screen in there, which again that's 2 loading screens, right? You got to get into that way and then through another loading screen. So, and it wasn't bad. It was nice enough, but I thought, no, I don't need that.
Yeah, there's a Creation Club home there too. And that one you can get to from a grate on the wall outside the fishery area.
Well, maybe I'm conflating them because I've never run into that. So in order to get that, do you pay Heckle or whatever his name is, the bartender there in the Ratway? Is that okay? So I thought that was part of this. So that's a
okay. Yeah, that's an old Creation Club. So it's part of the anniversary edition.
Okay. Well, still, it's just it's not. Yeah. But I did notice a couple of new entrances, and I thought maybe those are also added by the Creation Club. That I thought.
Yeah, because there's a quest that you get now when you first walk through the door. That says to follow the ghost.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
The ghost,
okay. I saw that.
Yeah. So there's a whole quest that takes you through a whole new section of the Ratway. Okay. Where there's a bunch of enemies that you have to fight and everything.
All right. I wonder if that was part of this Path of Thieves. Well, obviously it's not. That's cool. What about, so there's also in the Ratway right outside. So it's like you're in the Ratway, and if you go to the area under the well, where you first meet, what's his name? The head of the Thieves Guild.
Bryn. No,
not Bryn.
Devin, Mercer
Frey.
Where you first meet Mercer. When you go out of the bar area, you take a right through that door that only opens once you triggered the quest. Right there, just before that door, there's a ladder going up.
Oh yeah.
Now I don't know if that's added by the Creation Club or added by the Path of the Thieves Guild. That comes out right at the stables.
Yeah, that would be the Path of Thieves Guild, because that's not part of the regular.
Okay. So there's that new entrance, and then there's another new entrance somewhere else, which is probably added by the Creation Club. There's a whole bunch of new stuff in
Gosh, that'd be nice to be able to get in there.
Oh God, yeah.
To turn in your quests.
Right. It's right there without having to go into Riften and then through again. So yes, it's an outside entrance to instead of going to the graveyard or whatever.
Yeah. And waiting for that thing to slide over.
Totally.
Yes.
So speaking of quests and triggering and so on, so there was another discussion on Discord just today, where somebody, Green Dragon, I think, was having problems triggering Lost Legends. So has anybody had any issues with that? Because I had not an issue of triggering it, but I also had an odd thing happen to me with that particular quest. So I just wondered, they've loaded up the attunement cube or whatever, and the doors won't open. So now they think it's perhaps a Legends of the Dragonborn conflict or something. I don't know. I looked on the web to see if I could find any reports, bug reports of that. But what happened to me with Lost Legends is I realized after they posted that note on Discord that the quest has been triggered in my playthrough right now. And then I realized after a little bit of the discussion that, and I've seen it in previous playthroughs, that you have to go into the new nicest corner club to trigger the quest line. I was thinking, well, wait a minute. I haven't even been to Windhelm in this. I have no, I triggered the quest, as far as I can tell, I triggered the quest by finding the note in the Hall of the Dead in Whiterun, which is like the third stage of the quest, right? I know it's a little bizarre, but there's the only way I can think of that. I triggered the quest. I know I have the quest because it's telling me to go.
Oh, wait. Okay, it's not Lost Legends. What is it?
Lost Legends is Tools of Kagrenac, right? So you Sunder and whatever.
Yeah. Because I think Lost Legends, I'm thinking of Galdur.
Legends Lost. Sorry.
Oh,
Lost.
Why? Yeah, let's make him as closely named as humanly possible.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Oh, jeez.
So Green Dragon is saying trying to do Lost Legends. I activated the dwarven pedestal, but there's a wall blocking the entrance in my way. Back out is blocked. So yeah, that's a one-way. That particular dungeon is a one-way dungeon, right? Once you go in and you drop down the hole, you cannot get back out that way. You got to go all the way through, right? So if something gets bugged, you're kind of screwed. But it made me realize that I had also triggered that quest without having to go to the new nicest corner club.
Without going to the club. Okay. Huh.
Yeah. I know.
I wonder if you could read any of the other
any
clues, the one that you have, the notes, the cab driver note or
right. That's what I'm saying.
Notes.
I found one in the Hall of the Dead in Whiterun, which is the captain's note.
Yeah.
It's like the third note you find after. Yeah.
Oh wow.
So that's got to be what's kicking it off then.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you can find any of them along the way, I guess.
I guess so, but when you read the description of it, like in UESP, it clearly states you got to start it at the new nicest corner club.
Yeah, that's weird that they are there without nothing in the quest triggers them. Once the quest is triggered, they're all there. I guess.
I guess so. Yeah. Anyway, I can't help Green Dragon because I have no idea.
Oh yeah, if you leave,
I can't even remember the last time I've done that quest.
God, me either. Now that you're mentioning it, it's been a long time, man.
Yeah,
probably when we did the Legacy of the Dragonborn.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, now that you're mentioning it, yeah.
Well, I wonder if that's why they think it's a conflict with I don't know what. There must be an archaeology site in there somewhere or something.
Could be. Yeah, because there definitely is if you leave the sightless pit without completing the vault puzzle, you may lose the crystal.
So we haven't talked about Steven's feedback yet, have we?
No, we got two of them this time.
Two. Yeah.
So I can play those now.
Well, hello, adventurers. Steve from Skyrim Book Club again. I'm here with another update from Leo Gitz. After recording the first episode, and being intrigued by the idea of whether or not I would be able to pickpocket the end boss in Bleak Falls Barrow, I decided I'd take Leo on his first dungeon run to see how his skill set worked and see if I could figure out the answer to that question. I've mostly been using him outside at this point, so I've never really had him in a tight space where his stealth is going to be tested and he may find himself in combat in less than ideal circumstances. So today's little interlude is going to be his first Bleak Falls Barrow run. So at this point in my Skyrim career, I never go up the main trail. I go right to Anis's cabin, and I kind of jump climb the back mountain, and I come right up underneath the entrance to the temple itself. This works like a charm, crouch, stealth, invisibility spell, and I just glide right past these guards. I'm not wasting any time trying to pickpocket these people. I'm sure they have some valuable items, but I'm on a mission. I want to get the Dragonstone and have that in my back pocket for whenever I want to start the main quest so I can get to the Thalmor Embassy and get that particular stone. So once I'm inside the temple, again, same situation. We're using our stealth. We're using our invisibility. I actually managed to loot the first chest by the campfire with the 2 guards. And while taking the items, turned off my invisibility and did get their aggro for a second, getting down the stairway into the rest of the dungeon was enough to break their line of sight, and I was stealth again in seconds at most. Now, in the initial part of the run, I was also interested in seeing how his loot bonuses were going to play out. Would I really notice the difference in the amount of coins I was getting? Was I going to be getting more remarkable magic items as a result of having the Treasure Hunter perk? So far, I have to say that it seemed like pretty standard loot, but given his level, I'm seeing ebony and orcish gear at this point. The coin's respectable, and throughout my run in the dungeon, I noticed that I was actually getting some really good quality scrolls of all things. A particularly nice find about halfway through Bleak Falls Barrow was a Grand Soul Gem that was filled. I don't think I've ever found one that big. I usually have to buy those ones. So whether or not that's just due to his level, or again due to some of the enhancements I've put on this guy, who can say, but I was happy to see it. So the first real big encounter I had to deal with was, of course, the spider. I was able to run by most everybody else in the early going, but you can't really avoid that spider, right? I opted to paralyze it, which worked a charm. I let Arvel run off instead of killing him because, of course, I'm a treasure hunter. I'm not a murderer. I'm just here to get a job done, get a piece of kit for a client, and get on with my day. Well, he makes it through a couple of rooms, ends up getting into the first area of Bleak Falls Barrow where you start running into Draugr. Of course, he gets himself murdered, but now I have a tense moment on my hands because you have to understand, all these Draugr are fairly high level. I'm dealing with Restless, I'm dealing with Wights. The dungeon is responding to my character skill level as it should. So I have this fairly powerful Draugr who's standing over this guy's dead body that I have to loot. I have to deal with it. But again, that combination of stealth and invisibility really came in clutch. Like the first chest where I was standing in front of the bandits, I do momentarily gather his attention when I pull the items I want out of Arvel's body. But a few backward steps, a quick cast of invisibility, get behind a pillar, in seconds flat, the guy can't see me, no aggro, no problem. And this really ends up being the entire story of the dungeon. Almost without exception, I'm able to take advantage of my stealth, my invisibility, and just glide right by everybody. The one thing I did discover is that if I would get too close to the Draugr, like if I really had to squeeze by them in a narrow hallway, or I got, say, within pickpocketing range or similar, at that point they would detect me. So there are limits to what we're doing here. This isn't a complete easy mode. And that was nice to see. I do enjoy this, but I don't want to completely remove the challenge from the game, of course. The only time I really got myself in trouble running this dungeon was just after you pass through that second hallway with the swinging blades. You're in sort of the last room before you're going to get to the Golden Claw door. And as I was just hinting at, I had to sort of squeeze by one of these Draugrs that was patrolling around that area, which was enough to trigger them. And I took 2 reasonable hits. I'd say I probably lost 75 of my 200 hit points or something like that. So while the combination of bumping my health up to about 200 and investing in the light armor perks that I purchased does seem to be paying off, that still makes the point that really Leo is still quite fragile. He's still very much a glass cannon, if you will, and the margin for error for him in combat is going to be very limited. So with that little life lesson in mind, I pop the Golden Claw into the door, get my way into the last room, proceed to loot the 2 chests at either end of the stream, and then get up to the boss chest right next to the word wall. And I have to say, I was very pleased with the results, and I am looking forward to looting many future boss chests with this character. I end up with an Amulet of Dibella, a Scaled Helm of Eminent Alchemy, 220 gold, a gold sapphire ring, Dwarven gauntlets, and the absolutely no touchy-touchy Meridia's Beacon. I save my game because I'm not stupid, and I'm not sure what's going to happen with this Draugr Lord once I interact with the word wall. And I decide that the smartest thing I can do is go into stealth, use my invisibility, and then go and pull the word off of the wall. This works pretty well. I still have some time left on my invisibility by the time I've absorbed the word, and my plan is to sort of sneak around the back of the wall and see what the Draugr Lord is going to do. Well, let me tell you, the instant he steps out of that thing, he spots me. I get shouted at immediately, and he's on me with that Nord Frost sword that he always has before he can say boo. I start running like my life depends on it, and I get enough distance on him that I manage to crouch, break line of sight, cast invisibility, etc. And a couple of seconds later, he's lost sight of me, and he's standing calmly next to his coffin. So here's my chance to answer the burning question. Can you, in fact, pickpocket a Draugr Scourge Lord? Well, spoilers, my light-fingered friends. The answer is no. You don't even get the menu option. Now, maybe that's because he's already in a fight and you can't pickpocket people in fights. If that's a mechanic of the game, let me know. This is only the second time I've ever played a pickpocket. But for whatever reason, in my situation, I now have a very powerful problem on my hands with very few tools to deal with it. And frankly, I'm still a little bit disturbed at the idea that I have to kill this guy. I really want to try and keep that aspect of my character's personality going. Although in his defense, can you really kill something that's already dead? I don't know about you, but upon reflection, I think Leo's going to sleep just fine at night tonight. Regardless, it's kill or be killed, so Leo and I got down to business. I landed on what I think is a pretty good strategy to deal with this guy, and probably the way that Leo's going to deal with combat in those rare circumstances for the rest of his life as a character. I opted to lead with Paralyze, which straight away chews up like 450 of my magicka. And once the Draugr Scourge Lord is hitting the ground, I use my remaining magicka to burn him while he's down. Now what's interesting about this, and a little bit funny actually, is that I actually run out of magicka before the Paralyze wears off, which is a perfect opportunity to run away from this guy, crouch behind a pillar somewhere, and let my magicka refill. He occasionally spots me running away as I stand up, but I get into a pretty good rhythm of this. And it isn't too long before I'm paralyzing him when he can't see me, throwing a little bit of flames on him, and getting out of dodge before he even knows what happened to him. I also learned a cheeky little trick in that Draugr can't jump. So what I would do whenever possible is I would fight this guy at one end of the stream or another, leap over the stream when I'd run out of magicka, and give myself a little bit of extra time to replenish my magicka, because once this guy got up, he had to walk all the way down to that bridge, cross over, and come all the way back towards me. I know that might sound a little bit cheesy, but when you're walking around with a guy who could be 4-shot to death by an enemy like this, I'm going to take any advantage I can get. So I rinse and repeat this Paralyze and Flames system. It works like a charm. This guy is done and dusted. After the initial aggro when I tried to pickpocket him, I really don't think he gets another shot on me. He might have shouted at me once in this whole cycle. Now, approaching the fight this way probably made this the longest fight I've ever had with this particular boss, with any level of character. But without doubt, it was probably the easiest way to deal with him as well. I don't often play mages, and I rarely, if ever, go deep down the alteration tree, much past the point where you can get the 2 or 3 magic resistance perks. But after seeing Paralyze in action against a fairly high-powered enemy, I'm really starting to understand why a lot of people incorporate alteration into their builds. I can only imagine what Leo would be able to do if he was cutting the cost of that spell in half, if he had stability to make it last longer, so on and so forth. So now, I have a Dragonstone, tucked in my back pocket for whenever I choose to go start the main quest. And surprise of surprises, I even leveled up. Apparently, casting Paralyze on high-level enemies ups that alteration skill nicely. I got a nice little ding, took magicka, of course, and I opted to put my perk into the matched set perk in the light armor skill tree. I've only been playing this character for a couple of hours, but I really am content with the way most of the other things I'm trying to do are working. I find the illusion is doing its job. Clearly, we're happy with how Paralyze is working. His stealth is definitely getting the job done in almost any circumstance where I don't do something stupid. So I didn't feel the need to really improve any of those skills or take that Shadow Warrior perk as I'd mentioned. While I can see how having the ability to pause combat to kind of think for a second might be useful from time to time, I really get the sense that most of the bad that's going to happen to Leo is going to be my fault. It's going to be because I've made a mistake somewhere, or I've gotten ambitious, or I've gotten excited and in a hurry. So with that in mind, I figured I would invest again in my health insurance plan and increase the effectiveness of his light armor a little bit. Plus, it's a chance to go shopping for a match set, now isn't it? I get out of the barrow, fast travel back to Whiterun, sell off all the mundane junk and the weaponry that I'd picked up along this route. I probably made about $2,000, which isn't so bad. Like an ebony axe sold for like $455. Many of the orcish weapons and dwarven weapons I had went, above 200 gold pieces each, so that was pretty good. And I did indeed manage to find myself a glass chest piece and a glass helmet. Put them all together, factor in the perks, and now Mr. Getz has a very respectable 390 armor. Not too shabby. I must say I agree with a lot of people who aren't big fans of the way the glass armor looks, and to be honest, now that I can see my guy's face, I feel like he looks like a discount store version of Carl Urban playing Judge Dredd or something. I can live with that for now, but I'm going to look forward to my first opportunity to move on from this armor set to whatever comes next. I rounded out this little interlude with a bit of housekeeping, some disenchanting, and squirreling away some things I want to keep for a later date. All in all, I would say I'm pretty happy with what I learned from this first Dungeon Delve test drive with Leo. It's nice to see that the character really does work the way that I intended it to, or the way that I was hoping he would anyways. But by the same token, it's nice to see that I haven't built a character that can just constantly smash a win button. The fact that even a low-level bandit is going to catch me when I'm stealthing and trying to rob a chest nearby, or that if I fail on a pickpocket attempt, even at a 90% success rate, there are going to be real consequences to my character for having done that. On the flip side of that, however, it absolutely, completely changes the way that I approach dungeon delving. I mean, that combination of high-level stealth, invisibility, quiet casting so you can actually cast invisibility again before it wears out, and that ability to just glide right by everybody as long as you don't get too close to a really high-level enemy is going to put the run in Dungeon Run, I am pretty sure. I'm expecting fairly smooth sailing for many of his adventures ahead. That said, I think we're done for now. I do have a plan for the next round of Baron Zaya stones and maps. I've done a little bit of homework on the UESP and discovered that the treasure maps and the Baron Zaya stones are often quite conveniently grouped in certain regions. So as I continue to play Leo, it's really going to turn into like regional play. The next time I come in, we're going to run around, clear out the last map and some Baron Zaya stones in the Whiterun hold. Then we'll move on to other holds progressively and kind of knock these things down one by one. My general plan is to get as many of the stones that I don't need to be on another quest line to get access to first. And then at the back end of this whole experience, I will run through the Winterhold College quests, get the stones I need out of that, and I will probably finish off by starting the main quest line, get as far as the Thalmor Embassy, get that last stone. I'll do whatever I need to do to go recover Baron Zaya's crown. And at that point, I can then decide if I want to put Leo to bed, having had enough fun, or do I want to run off and see what a treasure-hunting Dragonborn might be like to play? So thank you very much for listening along. I hope that was mildly entertaining, even though it was a very common early-level dungeon we were discussing. As always, Michael, thank you for everything you do with the podcast. And to all my fellow Skyrim addicts, happy Skyrimming. Well, hello, adventurers. It's Steve from Skyrim Book Club here. And I've just finished another day of adventuring with our intrepid wealth redistribution specialist, Leo Getz. I've just finished what I call the Whiterun run, which involved heading out to Redderman's Retreat to pick up the last treasure map available in the Whiterun hold, going to Randveeg's Fast for a stone of Baron Zaya, then heading straight south across the valley to Sunderstone Gorge for another stone, and popping the map and hunting down the treasure. I also wanted to answer the burning question, can you, in fact, pickpocket a giant? So the first thing I did was head west across the plains, heading towards Bleakwind Basin. Now, I loaded up Pacified because I wanted to get some practice playing with that. I realized that in my Bleak Falls barrel run, I never once used it. Anytime I aggroed an enemy, I would just run away and hide, cast invisibility, and hope that they would lose track of me. But of course, the whole reason to build this guy, to run his illusion up to 100, was to have those like control type spells. So one of the things that I dedicated myself to doing for this particular day of adventuring was really kind of making better use of that Pacify spell. And it came in handy almost immediately. I didn't even get to Bleakwind Basin when I had a saber cat chasing me. Worked like a charm. Pow! Angry saber cat becomes friendly kitty. I did not stop to rub his belly. I just got out of there. So I come up on the edge of Bleakwind Basin. I crouch, and, even at the edges of the camp, the giants and the mammoths don't really seem to be able to see me. I figure the first thing I want to do is get into the treasure chest, because I know I can probably loot that safely, hit a quick save, F5, stay alive, friends, and no matter what happens with the giants, I'm going to be able to come out of there with some loot, right? And I have to say, it didn't work out too bad. I found an elven warhammer, some robes of conjuration, a gold diamond necklace, and then there was a couple of pieces of mundane steel armor that I didn't bother picking up. Having taken all of that, however, that seems to trigger their attention when I back out of the treasure chest. Immediately the eye is opening up, they can see me. So I back off, I try to let them calm down, let them go back to just kind of meandering around their campfire. I stealth up, cast invisibility, get in there. I get up right behind them, and I don't get the option to pickpocket them. So again, I wonder, is this because I've aggravated them within a recent period of time? So I wander away, and I really give it some time now. I just kind of do some circles, watch the grass wave in the wind, whatever. I give it a couple of minutes. I sneak back in there, get right up behind this giant, no option to pickpocket. And I also discovered you can't loot them if you paralyze them. I learned that you cannot cast Pacify on a giant with only one hand. It has to be dual cast to overcharge the spell. And the Pacify does seem to work. They fall down, but it does not last as long as it does on some lower level enemies. I don't know if there's something going on with the RNG there or whatever. But as you can tell, I took a handful of runs at pickpocketing this giant or trying to find different ways to pickpocket this giant. So I'm going to assume for the rest of this character's life that giants can't be pickpocketed. Nonetheless, I finished my science project for the day, so off we go to Redoran's Retreat. Very easy run across the map. I'm using Muffle and Invisibility, but I'm not sneaking. But I would say even running with those two things in place, I'm not really getting picked up by anything. So it's nice to know that I can travel a bit quicker than I might normally have. With most stealth characters, I'm constantly stealthing, right? Because I figure I need to rely on that activation of the stealth skill. But yeah, magic and muffle seems to be doing the trick. I get over to Redoran's Retreat. As we all know, very small dungeon, 2 rooms and a connecting hallway. I crouch down. I get in there. Now I get past the first bandit, but the dog barks at me and my heart just jumps right as I walk by it. But nothing happens. The stealth eye doesn't open. And I thought that was actually pretty good coincidence in the story, if you will. It's like the dog could smell me, but he couldn't see me, so he didn't set off an alarm. I get around the corner, weave around the dangling bone trap. There's one bandit, and of course the bandit chief sitting in front of the cooking spit. I decide I'm going to try and pickpocket these people and see which one of them's carrying the map. Turns out neither one of them is. However, the bandit chief has a very fancy ring of remedies, so we pocketed that gladly, took all their money, left them with their mundane gear, because I'm not a junk dealer. I get over to the trap. It's not even locked, because of course there's a bear trap in front of it that they're relying on stopping anybody with sticky fingers. Sure enough, bottom of the list is treasure map number 4. I also got some robes of conjuration out of there, silver amethyst ring, and, a handful of money. I forget exactly how much. I decide that's it. No need to be greedy. We're not going to loot this whole bloody room. I'm going to beat feet and get out of here. And just as I pass by this bandit guard who's patrolling the entrance back and forth, he starts muttering about how pickpocketing, now that's the real trick. Just take the loot and go. No violence. Yes, sir. That's exactly what we did. We took the loot and we went. I get back out there. No big deal. Now my trip across Whiterun Valley is a little bit more exciting. I keep tripping over saber cats. They must have fantastic perception of the game. I was walking behind a giant who did not see me, ran right by his mammoth, didn't start to open my eye, but I feel like anytime a saber cat's within 25 feet of you or whatever, stealth or no stealth, they're catching me. I have a little bit of trouble finding Sunderstone Gorge. I knew where Bloated Man's Grotto was, and I knew that Sunderstone was nearby. But after a little fooling around and tabbing out to check the map, I get in there, and just as I'm making my way up there, I start hearing, a guard voice saying, that's close enough, yada yada. And I'm thinking, well, come on, man, I can't even see you. How have you picked me up already? What am I in for, right? Well, it turns out as I get a little bit closer, there's this fascinating little dynamic going on in Skyrim where there is a magic user of some kind standing guard out front of the entrance to the gorge. But within sight of him, there's a hunter camp. So this hunter is periodically, walking around its little camp area, heading down to the road and back up or whatever. And I could just imagine that this guy spends 8 hours a day when it's his turn on watch, shouting at the same poor Redguard hunter all day long. That's close enough. You're going to regret coming here. And so on and so forth. So, as per usual, stealth and invisibility, get up on this guy, and he is an arch necromancer. I have never even seen an arch necromancer. Well, not to be one that lets an opportunity pass by, I crouch down, I lift up this guy's robe to see what he's got in his pockets, and isn't it a staff of chain lightning? 1,500 septims this thing is worth. I back out, I quick save, I go back in there, grab the thing, got it in one. I am not going to be greedy, I'm not going to test my luck. I head into the Sunderstone Gorge. Now, as I make my way through here, I'm going by mid-tier mages, skeletons, and all kinds of oil on the floor, hanging lanterns, the whole 9 yards. So I end up making liberal use of pacify as I work my way through there. I pickpocket another one of them, find a very nice staff of fireballs, and proceed on my way down through to the end of the dungeon. There's a little bit of rigmarole getting through Sunderstone Gorge because you've got to go into one section of the dungeon to kind of yank a lever, make your way back across to the other side. That's now opened an iron gate that has a lever behind it that you also need to yank to open another area. You get down to the bottom and into the final room, and it is this giant pool of oil and this sort of like elaborate design on the floor and some sort of, altar or whatever at the back. There's stairs that go up to a higher platform that obviously has a word wall behind it, and there are 2 mages standing guard up there. Now, nobody's seen me yet. I make my way across the oil slowly and carefully, and again, while this doesn't appear to set off my stealth, just my proximity seems to trigger this, statue or whatever it is down at the bottom level, and out pops a flame atronach. It stands up, and of course, it trails flames, so immediately, the whole ground explodes, kills the flame atronach, throws a bunch of junk around the room, and Leo gets set on fire. So I do a little hiding, I do a little healing, I get back up to the top, and I've got a pyromancer and I think an apprentice level fire mage up there. So clearly, if you're not being sneaky, this is a tough room, no doubt. But being the cheeky, sneaky Pete that I am, I get up behind them, I try to go for a pickpocket, get a staff of ice storms off of one of them, which seems a bit odd. You think it would be fire related, but we're not going to complain. I grab a couple of common soul gems, get around to the word wall, and I unlock Fire Breath, which I don't think I'll make use of, but it never hurts to have it handy. There's a great big black altar there with 2 dead red guards on it, and sitting out, pretty as you please, an unusual gem. I grab that, get over to a boss chest on the side, get myself a circlet of eminent conjuration, a pile of money, sundry jewelry, and then we book it. I make my way all the way back out, I get out to the exit, step through into the light, and the first thing that I hear is, "Never should have come here!" And before you can say boo, I have got an ice spike stuck in my character's head. I panic, I swing the mouse, trying to figure out what the heck's going on. Well, of course, I left this arch necromancer out there because I don't kill people. So, in the time it takes me to realize what's happening to me, I'm already dead. But where does the game reload my last quick save from? Right in front of the door. So I go through this awful cycle of maybe I could paralyze him. Maybe I could pacify him. Maybe I could just run. I get killed 4 times by this guy. So again, despite having cheated and really bumped this guy up, the world is still dangerous for me if I slip up. I finally realized that along the way, I've picked up a ton of potions too. So I get out there, I smash the sprint key while he's shooting spikes at me, hitting the inventory button periodically, juggling red potions, backing out of the inventory, running another 15 feet or whatever I can, rinse and repeat, because I discovered in a previous iteration that he is holding up a ward, which is preventing me from paralyzing or stunning him, or pacifying him, I mean to say. But I managed to get far enough that I pull him into the hunter that he's been fighting with for days and warning not to come near the entrance. And don't the two of them get into an argument? It's all it takes. I get out of there, I make enough distance, I can get away from this guy, drop a quick save, heal up, get on with my day. I make my way to Randvik's Fast. Now, I've been in front of Randvik's Fast before, but I'd never gone in there. So I knew that there were these kind of ghosts circling around, but I had no idea what the story of the place was. Do my typical start, stealth and visibility. I'm walking by, and they are very, very good at perception, I would say, because I don't get past the second guard before somebody's saying to me, "I don't want to do this, I'm sorry, I don't mean to, blah, blah, blah." So they've obviously been summoned and compelled in some way. Now, I'm already a pacifist, but on top of that, I decide I'm certainly not going to interact with these people or harm some poor shade who's been pulled from his rest to serve a villain against his will. I don't bother trying to pickpocket them, any foolishness like that, in the door, get into Randvik's Fast. it's actually a very beautiful dungeon. I really like these rooms in Skyrim where they've left cracks or some areas open to the sky. You get the beautiful sort of like white kind of blurry light that comes down and illuminates everything. You see all the dust motes, everything like that, overgrown ferns, the whole 9 yards. Very beautiful room. Absolutely nothing of value in it. Get to the far side, head down a stone carved hallway, or a natural hallway, I guess I should say, down to the next level of it. I enter on an elevated platform. I'm looking down against another, quite nice, well-lit, overgrown area. There's a word wall and a treasure chest, and I figure, all right, money. We're going to be in, we're going to be out, no big deal. Stealth, get over there. I don't think I've even seen an enemy at this point. Or perhaps there's a low-level wizard wandering around. I don't recall, I'm sorry. But I get up to the word wall, and this is very interesting. I never really thought about making Leo a Dragonborn, but the word that I unlock is Kind's Peace, which, as I discovered after reading the description, soothes wild beasts who lose their desire to fight or flee. Now, I thought that would be really interesting to have in my back pocket. I am going to have to kill a few dragons as I work down the main quest to get to the Falmore Embassy, as we've discussed. So I will have a couple of souls in my back pocket. And I think having like another version of Voice of the Emperor in this guy's back pocket is going to be very suitable, very thematic, that even if he starts to build up Dragonborn powers, again, he's going to stick to his pacifist kind of approach to life. So I was pleased to pick that up. I turn around, I open the chest, I figure, here we go, we're going to get some money, we're going to get a gem, and nothing. It is empty. Well, nuts to that, I walk away from there, notice yet another small pathway off to the side. It's very narrow. I almost would have run by it if I hadn't sort of stopped to consider what I was going to do next. I weave my way down there, and then it starts to become obvious who this place belongs to. There's cages everywhere, again, oil all over the floor, and there is this wizard wandering about. And just as I walk in there, some poor NPC falls from the ceiling and splat! And all you hear is, that one didn't survive the fall either. So I don't know what kind of science this guy's doing in here, but I don't want to be a part of it. I do my level best to stay quiet, sneaky, get in there, and I'm not too far in before, just off to the left, there's an alchemy table. A wonderful, shiny stone of Baronziah is sitting there, waiting to be plucked, along with a few useful potions and a couple of ingredients, and right next to there, an expert-level locked chest. I get that baby open, grab some considerable money, a spell tome of Conjure Dremora Lord, which I've never seen in any of my playthroughs ever, which I think, if I even have the conjuration level to cast it, is going to be a fantastic back pocket solution to people that I have to fight. Like, if I have to fight a dragon, maybe I'll just conjure a Dremora Lord and he can do it for me. If I have to fight a boss to get through, like, say, the Yarick Alderson guy at the end of Under Sarthal, maybe I'll conjure my Dremora Lord and she can do it for me. So I'm looking forward to having that as one of my possible solutions to fights that I can't avoid. But despite the fact that that was very cool, absolutely, positively, best piece of loot of the entire run is a necklace of peerless sneaking. My sneaking is now 40% better on top of being ranked to 100 with, all 5 perks in the basic sneak and all the other things that come with it. I put that thing on right away. I felt like I could have stood up and just walked out of there. Of course I didn't. I played the game straight, made my way out of there. No harm, no foul. Get back out into the far more relaxing, less ominous climbs of Whiterun. I get a safe distance away, and I decide it's time to see what we've got in our treasure chest, or in our treasure map, I should say. Pop that baby open, and as I suspected, that was the one that led to the loot behind Pelagia's farm. I fast travel right there, make my way up the back of the mountain, open up the chest, and we don't do too bad. We get some jewelry, we get a couple of ingots, we get a very respectable pile of money. Oh, speaking of loot as well, I've also noticed that I'm really getting a lot of scrolls with this guy. I think that his treasure hunter perk is causing those in particular to appear more frequently. I feel like I've bought and sold more scrolls in 4 or 5 dungeon runs than I have in, hours of play with most other characters. So that in particular seems to be an item that I'm seeing more of. We were talking about whether or not I'd noticed the differences from being an Imperial for the extra gold and having the treasure hunter perk, but I'm well pleased with that. I don't really anticipate using them, but they weigh half a pound and one of them is going to sell for $500. So I'm quite pleased with that. Nonetheless, having finished the Whiterun run, and now being done with this part of the region in terms of finding stones and finding maps at least, I head back over to Whiterun. I'm going to do some selling, probably spend some time on alchemy. I've been gathering ingredients like nobody's business, and of course I did bump his alchemy up to 100, but I haven't even spent 1 minute in an alchemy table. So I want to go through, sift through my ingredients, find the ones that are going to be good for invisibility, good for paralysis poisons, and then spend a little time just, figuring out what all the various ingredients do. I'll sit down at a table, I'll eat one of everything, trip my mind off, and when I come back down, I'll be a little bit better of an alchemist. But I think that's all for now, so thank you very much for listening. I hope that you're enjoying this guy's adventures through Skyrim and maybe hearing about a slightly different approach to the game. I admit that I had some reservations about starting a character this sort of high and pre-building everything, thinking that it would sort of take away some of the fun, some of the sense of reward from the game. But having said that, on the flip side, I feel like I'm really getting to move through my goals a bit faster. And the fact that Wildcat is included, I think, was accidentally a really good balance to this. Because as I described, I got killed 4 times or whatever coming out of Sunderstone Gorge just from bad luck. So while it does sort of sound like I'm really just speed running a lot of these things, and arguably I am, there are still these consequences. Bump into an enemy. Forget to pacify someone before you squeeze by them in a hallway. So on and so forth. And there are real consequences for this guy. So I think my sense of good Catholic guilt is wearing off, and I'm quite enjoying having an experience of really high level play. This is probably the highest level character I've ever played, ever in Skyrim. I tend to abandon my people by about level 30 or 40 and then just go on to the next thing. So that said, we're done with Whiterun. Day 3 is going to be Windhelm. There's a nice grouping in the Windhelm hold. There's 2 treasure maps that you can find and 2 stones inside Windhelm itself, neither of which you seem to need a quest for. And that's going to let me talk to that little boy who wants you to kill Greylod the Kind in order to start the Dark Brotherhood quest, because I'm going to need to be able to get access to the Sanctuary in Falkreath to get a stone. So that'll be our next little pile. We'll trigger a quest line, get some maps, get some stones, and I don't know, run around and robbing everybody in Windhelm and see what they have in their pants. So with that, I want to say thank you very much for listening. I hope you're all doing well. And to all my fellow Skyrim addicts, happy Skyrimming.
Yeah, so we started off with continuing on to Bleak Falls at level 50-ish. Is that what he's at now?
Yeah,
well, I guess he technically leveled up in there. So he's what?
I love the way he narrates because he's so.
Yeah, he's got a great style.
Yes.
Yeah, he really does.
Yes.
He's got a great flow.
I agree. I like how he's
through his thick Canadian accent.
Yeah, that's right.
But I like how he tried even pickpocketing the Draugr Scourge at the word wall.
Yep. And later on the Giants.
And the
too,
Giants
right?
in the next, in the second one.
Can't pickpocket Giants.
Yeah. So, no, but that was neat to find out. I never thought about it.
No.
If you're playing that type of character, how do you do it without killing anything? But he snuck up the cliffside. He snuck right through the bandits, got some pretty good stuff as he was going through.
Well, that's the nice thing about leveling up. And it really made me think in the second one where he talks about, at the end, he talks about preloading the character and whether or not that's a good idea. I think it's a wonderful idea.
I do too.
Especially after you've played the game so much. If you have a chance to really create a character fully fledged as you want them, but on the other hand, it's certainly a wonderful way to get epic loot right off
very
the bat,
random
right?
places. Yeah.
It takes some practice. When you do it the first time, it's really it's really tricky, because you're used to playing and, building stuff up as you go along, and, you get used to the mechanics of what your, character does and all that kind of stuff. But when you drop everything in, it's a little bit jarring at first, and it takes a few minutes to kind of warm up and, figure out what you can do, what you can't do, what you've got, what you don't got.
Yeah. And there's going to be higher level enemies, wherever you are and so on. Yes.
But yeah, it does. It is, so many times we want to try something out. And you just don't want to have to play 100 hours of the game just to get the character, to where you then want to jump off and start playing it.
Mhm.
Yeah, and Steve, he talks about that, I think, at the end where he says, I rarely ever make it past level 20 or 30 before I move on to something else. And I'm guilty of that 100%. I do the same thing all the time. And so it's nice to be able to sort of start at level 30 instead, right?
Mm-hmm.
And move on from there, at least. I do like the idea of I guess it's not really a pacifist run, is it? I mean, I guess it sort of is.
Yeah, I think
kind of is. I mean, he's trying really hard not to kill anybody.
Yeah. I think eventually he'll end up with some conjuration. I mean, it's hard to make it through the game without killing him. I know people have. Right?
Yeah.
But
it's really hard. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, because he's also going to add what he was talking about end of the second one. They're adding. He has to do some of the main quest anyway to get that one stone.
Well, but he doesn't anymore.
No,
you do
because he's to get the one at the Thalmor Embassy.
No, the Thieves Guild one. You have to join
the Thieves Guild one. You do have to join it.
I'm sorry, Thieves Guild. Yeah, and Dark Brotherhood. Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Not the Thieves Guild. The
Dark Brotherhood. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
And the Thieves Guild, so that you can go and actually have it appraised. Is there anybody else that'll tell you about it other than Vex?
No, but there is a mod that will, I think, that allows something. There's a mod that will do something to avoid. Well, you don't have to join the Thieves Guild to go down.
Yeah, no, you can get it appraised without joining.
Yes,
without joining.
Yeah,
you can just go down and she'll appraise it for you.
They complain at you for a while, but they don't actually attack you or anything.
Yeah. But I guess if you don't join the Thieves Guild, but you do the Dark Brotherhood, then they send you to talk to Delvin.
Yeah.
So that would be the same thing.
I loved his little interaction there with at Sunderstone Gorge, where he's talking about the NPCs and you need to leave. The guys, you could just imagine you sitting there saying that all day long. There's nobody there. Yeah, this is great.
Yeah, but I like the idea of a fully fleshed out character. Like this person would exist in the world, and come to Skyrim to do this. It wouldn't always just be a new person coming and starting a new life or whatever. But however you would want to couch it in your story. It would make sense that an experienced treasure hunter would show up in Skyrim and want to
already know how to do all that stuff.
And find the crown of the Burns Eye.
Yeah, and pickpocket and lockpick are two that you. If you try to do those naturally,
oh man!
I mean, you can go through a whole freaking game and not get lockpick past 40.
Yeah, no, that's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah, I think Adamant, the perk overall, Adamant tries to work on that a little bit. It gives you some nice jumps in pickpocket early on in the perk tree, at least. So you get a boost, and also a nice boost the speech tree as well for persuades. And so I've taken advantage of that in my current playthrough because I've been trying to do a little more.
Yeah, and Gopher's mod, Artful Dodger, is nice. It's just a simple little mod that lifts the cap on pickpocket.
I've never tried
so that it can get up to 99%.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So, because if you're a master pickpocket and you still fail, one time out of 10,
that's a lot. Yeah,
that's a lot.
I guess, yeah, it is.
Yeah, because
especially you can pickpocket somebody's clothes right off.
There's that. Yeah, that's fair.
I suppose if you can do that, then you should be able to fail once in a while.
Right? Yeah, but also Ordinator is nice for that too, because you can, there's other avenues of pickpockets you can go besides, stealing people's clothes and, putting poison in their pocket.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, but he's using a lot of he's using a lot of illusion and alteration. It's kind of what he's focusing on, I
Yeah, he was talking about that and forget pacify, the pacify spell.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and paralyze, of course, which is always a good one, and invisibility.
Yeah.
Those are pretty good, pretty powerful.
Yeah, and being the sneak 100 is really insane.
Yeah, it is.
And
the stuff of many memes.
Well, it's funny. We were just talking about the saber cat, how he almost stepped on it, basically tripped over it. Yeah, I'm like, I feel like I've done that 1,000 times walking north of Whiterun, where that stupid saber cat is in the tall grass.
Right? Yeah, at the fork in the road.
Yeah. There, and there's another one. There's another one out near Halted Stream Camp. You sort of turn around and boom, it's right there.
It's right there. Yeah. As you're going from that little bandit encampment to Halted Stream, it's like floats around in between there, chasing deer and stuff. So I've definitely been snuck up upon on that one and accidentally snuck up on that one, and it's been right in my face. Very quickly.
I'll tell you, in my latest one, that I have made good use of cork bulb arrows, which are really, really cool. Like that's a Creation Club add-on, and they're super powerful.
Aren't they like 18 or 20?
Yeah, they're pretty big.
Well,
right?
They're not. I don't remember what their actual hit point is, but they produce a paralyzing effect.
Do they?
You can, and it stacks. So you put a little poison on them if you've got a poison. What's the lasting damage or whatever it's called?
Lingering.
Yeah. So that plus the stacking paralyzed, and you can one plus with Adamant, which has it's a sneak perk, I think. And interestingly, in Adamant, the silent casting perk is in sneak, not in illusion, which is kind of cool. It means, and it's not too high a level either. I think it's level 30 or something. So there's that. Plus, there's a damage multiplier for sneak for bows. So you can get a 4 or 5 times multiplier, plus that cork bulb arrow, plus lingering damage. So I went through Faldar's Tooth and Treva's Watch last night.
Definitely looking forward to hearing more of Steve's story.
Totally,
because it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, but I'd like to. Yeah, I'm interested where he's going to take it.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how the just treasure hunter semi-pacifist thing is going to go.
Well, the next episode is Windhelm, I think. So
today I learned that cork bulb arrows paralyze. I did not know that. I've always seen them, and I don't know if I ever just didn't read it when I had them.
I think it's a paralyze or stun effect. This is a big green halo.
25% chance to paralyze for 4 seconds, apparently. I don't think I've ever used them because they only have 10 damage.
Yeah, but I didn't think it was 18. But
the paralyze is a nice.
Must be one of the other other new ones that are way up there.
Yeah,
I haven't been an archer in so long.
Between those and fire arrows, and then using because you pick up tons and tons of like ancient Nord arrows and like that. Those as backups for pelting people with with cheap arrows.
Exactly.
The fire arrows and the cork bulb arrows for serious enemies. It's pretty good combination.
The fire arrows, the only issue I have is if you want to loot things nearby the person.
Yeah, I know.
It just
quite an AoE there.
Yeah, it's creates kind of a mess. I ran into that issue in Solstheim with the Nordic jewelry quest line. I don't know where the hell it went after I killed those 2 bandits. But I was like, well, I guess I'm not doing that quest line because I'm never finding it. So.
Well, it is that little book, so it just disappears.
It was gone. Yeah, I was like, this quest is over before it even began, really. So Oh gosh. So we had some discussion in the Discord also about kind of a Daedric Roundtable, and we had talked about it a little bit. Victor, you were saying parry. You like the parry.
I'd like to try with parry, but that's not imperative or anything. It'd be fun. The question is, are we going to do it with religion mods?
That's what I would say. I thought that would be an interesting way to, add to it. That way the characters, it's more than just the quest line, you know what I mean? For like, you do the only cure for Periite or whatever, taste of death for Namir or whichever. You actually like have, if you're using whatever Winter Sun or whatever other religion mod, you're fully a part of that, Daedric Lord's world.
So are we all going to be playing on PC?
I'm going to be on Xbox still. Most likely.
I'm just looking, the reason I ask, I think Winter Sun's on Xbox, right?
Yeah, I've used Winter Sun a ton. Yeah.
What about Simon Magus' mods? Pilgrim is his religion mod. That's
Pilgrim?
I think Pilgrim is his. Pilgrim. I have that loaded in my current one. But there's a new one called Gods in Worship that just uploaded at the beginning of April this year. But so Gods in Worship is only the 9 divines plus Daedra.
And it's probably not on Xbox because it requires SKSE.
Oh, does it? Okay, thank you.
I don't see it. Yeah.
Okay. So does it matter if we all use the same? Would it make sense for us to all use the same mod? I don't mind using.
I don't think. I figured the different mod packages essentially or loads would bring variation to it just as much as anything else.
Okay.
Then we could each use a different one. So if you want to do Gods in Worship, I'll switch over. I haven't done Pilgrim yet.
Okay. Let's see. I'm looking at Pilgrim too. I don't remember. I'm not sure. I think Winter Sun might be the only one that has long-term lasting effects.
That's I think
These other two are simply so Gods in Worship has devotional ranks. So in Gods in Worship you can go from being a believer to being a high priest or priestess. So you want to try Pilgrim, Ray?
Yeah, but I'm looking at it, so it looks like it just changes the shrine worship.
Yeah, it's not really very.
It's not an ongoing thing where you build a relationship with your.
Yeah, well, let's both do Gods in Worship then.
Yeah, that's fine.
We're going to do different, and I don't mind rolling for it. Or if you want to pick one, do you have one in mind you want to do? Or
no, I'll take a look at the mod and see. It's I'll have to look and see what if they have what they have for Clavicus and Sheogorath.
Yeah, Sheogorath. Do they have?
Because those are the two that I most recently did in Winter Sun.
Oh, okay.
And had a lot of fun with.
Yeah.
If you can call the having to do Clavicus vials, little quests.
Oh man!
Well, the special attribute of for Sheogorath is in Gods in Worship. Occasionally, the player is equipped with a random hat after making an offering at a shrine. Small chance of getting a unique unenchanted jester outfit instead. Yeah.
I'll check it out and see. But we should be able to find some fun stuff to do with that.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, so I've been playing around with a mod collection.
Oh, cool. Okay. One of the Nexus mod collections.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And so I went with the immersive and pure. So the number one, highest rated collection on the Nexus, I think it's called Immersive and Adult.
Yeah.
So immersive and pure are all of the, the gameplay mods without the porn mods.
Yeah.
So no flower girls and all that, and sex
that
and
crap.
all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And so, but this has got some really cool stuff. So one thing that I've never looked at before that was in this is an alternate start mod called Realm of Lorcan.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I just
so
saw
it's
it.
kind of similar to Unbound, where you build your character. The only difference is you're building your character inside of a world. So you're in this world space, and it's all kinds of levels and little paths to walk on and everything.
Huh.
And there's backpacks with all kinds of different loot in it. So if you want to be a soldier or a mage or a merchant, they've got these little collections of things, and then all of the shrines are there. So you can pick a deity to start with through a shrine. There are all the standing stones are sprinkled about. And then there's these big soul gem looking crystals that, once you've got your character all put together, you can choose where in Skyrim you are deposited.
Oh, that's cool.
And so, you kind of go around. There's also, they've got, you can get attributes assigned to you through these shards that lets you, get some starting buffs. So there's, thief that, makes you harder to detect, and you have easier lockpick, different things like that. Archer that, boosts your archery. So you can play around with that. You get 2 to start with, so you can pick one. If you want to do more, then you have to figure out how to get more shards.
Okay. So it's sort of a little bit like preloading a character, but not quite as up to high levels.
But it's also, it's just an interactive kind of play way to do it.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Because you're not just ticking boxes and, like with Unbound, where you can control everything in the start. So you can do most of the same stuff with this, except that you're doing it interactively with your character inside this world. And so it was kind of cool. I had never heard of it, and but now that I've played with it a couple of times, it's definitely a lot of fun.
Yeah.
This guy's done a really good job of integrating stuff. He's made a few of his own mods that have changed things, and it's been a lot of fun. So one of the things, it's packed with a bunch of bard mods. And so, when I saw that, I thought, well, I've tried to make a bard before, and they really suck, even with Ordinator. But there's some mods in this collection that really make it a lot more interesting. So there's one that's called Skyrim's Got Talent.
Jeez.
And so you can just stand in town, and if you have an instrument in your inventory, you can play it. So you just start playing the drums and everything. And the funniest thing is so when you first start, you suck. And everybody tells you suck.
Oh, man.
That's awesome.
And so, they take all of the different comments that NPCs make in the game, for distress, and they all are shouting, help, and don't do that, and you don't belong here.
That's great.
And so, if you keep playing, you can get a debuff.
Oh, wow.
So there you get an active effect called embarrassment. And so prices are 20% higher. And if you try to play again, you don't increase your talent.
Wow.
And so that lasts for like 10 minutes.
Nice. I love it.
So it's been a lot of fun. And so as you continue, to play, you get better and better and better. Until then you start actually, doing a good job. So you also get, little notifications, up in your upper left corner. One of them I got was, your song should be considered master level destruction spell. And, oh, well, you could always get work as a torturer. So, so that was kind of fun. And then there's also one that redoes the Bard's College, or called Bard's Reborn.
Huh.
And it adds a new NPC. And so instead of, talking to Viermo and going right into the dungeon quest, you actually have to study and pass tests.
Oh, wow.
So I just passed the test for history, because bards have to, know the history of Skyrim.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now I'm on to learning songs. And so I have to go to class and listen to the teachers, teach us songs, and then also find songbooks around the college and learn those songs.
Oh, that's cool. So it actually makes it worthwhile doing.
Yeah. And so once you get through and pass all these tests, then this NPC will pass you on to the Viermo quest.
Oh, cool.
So that then you can, feel like you're actually doing something in the Bard's College.
Yeah.
But
in the end, you're still a bard.
Yes, you are still a bard.
Yeah.
But you're a better bard.
A better bard, yes.
A better bard.
A very effective one. So what's the? I have never tried one of the collections, because I've done a lot of Wabbajack mod lists, but I've never done. So how do the collections work?
So collections really work best if you're a premium member.
Yeah, I'm a lifetime premium member. So
so you click on the collection and assign it to a profile.
Mm-hmm.
So I've done 2 in Fallout.
So a profile built where?
In Vortex.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So it requires Vortex.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
And then it just starts loading. It downloads and enables all the files for you. It'll even load if you don't have SKSE, if you don't have the loader stuff for that. It'll do that for you. So it can do off. The only offsite mod that it doesn't do is the ENB.
Okay.
So you have to have the ENB loaded yourself.
Yeah.
But then it loads, the ENB helpers and the ENB settings and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And so if you have any of the mods already in your Vortex, it'll prompt you, do you want to keep the one you've already got, or do you want to, load this one?
Mm-hmm.
And once it's done, you're ready to hit play.
Nice. Yeah. Unfortunately, I can't use Vortex because it conflicts in the way it handles files and where it operates with Mod Organizer. So the last time I loaded Vortex, it fucked up.
Your Mod Organizer.
My Mod Organizer stuff, yeah.
Yeah.
Mod Organizer expects a pristine, Skyrim directory. Now, if I could find a way to sequester the two, like have 2 separate installations, one for Vortex and one for, because you can do that with Mod Organizer. That's how Wabbajack works. So Wabbajack just loads different instances of Mod Organizer. Anyway.
So I ended up, so I've always run all my games off of my main drive.
Mm-hmm.
And when I loaded my second Fallout 4 mod collection, it was 560 mods.
Oy.
And it filled my drive.
Yeah.
So, I did what any good PC gamer would do. I went out and got a new hard drive.
Absolutely.
And so now I have a 2 terabyte drive that runs just my games in Vortex.
Good man. Excellent.
And so, of course, then I just had to start downloading stuff like crazy.
I went out and bought is it NVMe, one of those SSDs that plugs right straight down onto the motherboard?
Yeah, the M2 drives.
Yeah, I bought one of those just for Wabbajack.
Oh, okay.
They're beautiful. They're little tiny cards.
Oh, yeah.
Fast
mine, my motherboard only has one slot for that.
Oh, yeah, mine too.
And that is my C drive.
Oh, really? Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah. So, they're lightning fast. So,
yeah. But I really haven't noticed any difference in performance other than when I fully loaded that drive up, everything ran like crap. I think I had 2 gigabytes left, and that is not enough headroom for the operating system to be able to function.
Not really, no, especially for your C drivers. Yeah,
even my No Man's Sky was like a slideshow.
Oh, really? Oh,
yeah.
God. Oh.
So, but once I got everything moved over, there's a little bit of work to get Vortex to recognize the new location. But it was super simple to do, and everything repopulated itself over on the new drive.
Nice.
And now I've got almost a whole terabyte on my C drive open.
Good. Yeah.
So, but the collection worked really good. And it's been kind of fun. I've been building characters based on the stuff that's in the mod package.
Mm-hmm.
So
I'll tell you one thing that actually freaked me out a little bit until I realized what was going on. I kept finding mods on Nexus that would say, you last downloaded this mod and blah, blah, blah. I'm thinking, I never downloaded this mod before. What's happening in my mind? What the frick? I know I'm old, but I'm not that old. And then I realized it was Wabbajack.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So.
Yeah. But. Yeah. And, it's funny. So you kind of get I get in a mod rut. Where there's certain mods I use all the time, and those are the only ones I use. And, I know what they do. I know what to expect. But when you load these collections, you get a lot of weird little stuff.
You do. I agree. Yep.
And, one of them is, the simplest little mod that, that fixed a problem that used to just absolutely drive me crazy. You'd get done with a quest. You'd have to go take, you'd take something back to somebody or, go report back, and they're inside their house and the door's locked.
Oh, God.
Well, there's a mod. Just knock.
Oh, simply knock?
Yeah.
That's been around forever. That's an Arthmore mod.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a great mod. Isn't that?
So you go up to the door, you knock on the door. Somebody there? Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I come in?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. No, Simply Knock is awesome. Yeah. That's wonderful. I love it.
Yeah.
Good. I'm glad that came out 5 or 6 years ago. It was a great, it had a little, and of course, Arthmore, I don't think is even active anymore. I don't think they're the ones behind, or one of the ones behind the UESP, right? So, so I think that's pretty much taking up their entire whatever time they have left for mod. But yeah, Simply Knock is a great mod.
Yeah.
I was thinking about that the other day, in fact. It was funny because the same thing happened. I wanted to go to see Klimek for something or other. And yeah, he was in there. He wasn't coming out.
Yeah. And, you don't want to wait for him.
Oh, fuck that. Yeah.
Yeah. So, Steve's thing kind of resonated with me because my bard is also a pickpocket. Because you just, you don't make enough in tips.
I was going to say, if you suck as a bard, you might as well be a pickpocket.
Makes sense. Makes sense.
But yeah, that Artful Dodger is, is pretty nice. Because I think I've got my pickup pocket skills up to like 52.
I totally missed that. I've never heard of Artful Dodger before. And that's a Gopher mod?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Cool.
Yeah. And so it slowly increments the pickpocket success chance from, the standard 90%, up to 99%.
Nice.
So
that must be the same engine or whatever progression he used to. Well, he also brought out that mod that builds your muscles. You can start as a 98-pound weakling and over time build yourself up into totally buff superhero or whatever. I forget what it's called, but yeah. Okay, cool. Trouble with Gopher, of course, is that he doesn't really support his mods. He puts them out there and then that's it. Bye bye. So Daedric Quest. I mean, I don't suppose we have to decide tonight or anything, but what kind of quest lines do we want to do? Do we want to just sort of follow our own progression, or
I think that would be
do the main quest and then whatever, or whatever is appropriate for the Daedra?
Yeah, I think that's what should be, like whatever's appropriate for whatever Daedra you're following is what makes the most sense, I would think, because each one's going to be. Now I have to think about which one I want to choose. That's the hard part, I think, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, and some of them sort of don't necessarily require, but would indicate, like if you're Boethia or Mephala or something, you're going to be a dark elf, right? So, or Malakath, you're probably going to be an orc. Yeah. An orc. I don't suppose I'd have to be a Khajiit to do Periite. I don't know.
And definitely be glad you're not doing Periite under Winter Sun. Because catch as many diseases as you can.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, that's right. I remember this now.
Yeah. Except, I guess, gifts of petulance or pestilence. Pray only while diseased, and never accept a cure for your afflictions.
Wow.
Oh man. And if anybody else wants to kind of play along and send in what they're doing, just pick a Daedra, vanilla, modded, however you want to do it, and let us know how it went.
Yeah. Well, do you want to start it and like report next time, or
we could do that. We could at least get them built and kind of
play around with it a little bit. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Sounds good.
And we'll have some more feedback from Steve, of course.
Yes. Well, we have one more left anyway, right?
Well, there's more than that. I got to upload them.
Oh, really?
I have a folder. He shared a folder with me, and I've been switching them over to this one, so we all have access to it pretty easily. I'll drop a few more in there. So,
cool.
So
all right, good.
Yeah, because he was emailing them, and he's like, I'm just going to put them in a dry folder. It'd be easier this way. I can do them as I go. And I was like, it's perfect. So that works out well. What's going on in the space and wasteland world, right?
In space, after the last update, we're all rolling in money.
Oh, really?
Yeah. We've taken, so we do most of our stuff in the permadeath mode. And, with recently, not in the last one, but the one before, they added where you can increase the difficulty, of certain things. Well, one of the things you can really crank up is the economy. so that you barely make any money at all off the stuff you sell. And everything you want to buy is really expensive. But this last update, they added a new type of ship that you can find crashed on planet surfaces.
Oh.
And those ships, where a regular crash ship, you might get 1 million units for turning it in. More if you do a lot of work to fix it back up. These ships, so far the worst one I found was 38 million.
Oof.
And most of them, are up around 60. And so now permadeath characters that used to be perpetually poor, can now be just rolling in dough. And it's very, very cheap to collect these ships. If you concentrate on pirate systems. So there should be an adjustment, I would think, sometime soon, to fix that. Cause it is a little over the top now. But in Fallout, we are in the middle of our just getting started actually on our latest roundtable, which is survival characters, going through Far Harbor and Nuke World. So right now we're in the building stages, getting our characters ready to go to these places, and experiencing all the challenges of survival play in Fallout, which is quite a bit different than in Skyrim.
Yeah.
Because it, you don't have the cold element, but you definitely, you've got diseases and, because if you sleep in sleep in a sleeping bag, you've got a very high chance of getting a disease. Less so in a regular bed, but still in a regular bed you do. So you've got to contend with that, with the diseases. You have, enemies do a lot more damage now. As well as you do more damage to them, but, if they get a couple of shots on you, you're probably going to be dead. But it's been fun. And of course, the hardest thing of all with survival mode is, you have to walk everywhere. No, I mean,
that's true. True.
You sleep to save.
Nice. Yeah. Okay.
So, we're all running mods that give us a way around that. So.
Oh, good. Yeah, I found the Fallout survival mode just way too gamey.
Like
the diseases thing and everything. It's just like sleep to save. Sorry.
Yeah. But and the thing is that so with sleep to save, you're sleeping anywhere where you can find anything that you can sleep in, which is mostly going to be sleeping bags on the ground,
right?
Or mattresses on the ground. And so I want to save, but I'm probably going to wake up with a disease. So do I really have to save?
Yeah. It makes, well,
yeah,
it is it's a cool way to play the game, but I find it really frustrating. So
yeah. So, and there's a couple of different ways. One of the folks that's playing along, is using, there's a mod that you can smoke to save.
That's funny.
Yeah. Now there's a chance that you might get a disease from smoking.
But who cares? It's the apocalypse anyway.
Yeah. But it's so that's been a lot of fun, and it's interesting to see how everybody's coping with all the different things that we're dealing with, and we're all trying to keep up with Andrew. So I think I'm level 7 or 8, and he just cleared 20.
Oh, wow.
So, but it's been a lot of fun. Definitely a big surge in people participating. So that was good. That was great. Not surprising that Fallout 4 would draw more people playing than Fallout 1 did.
Yeah,
but it was fun to play Fallout 1 too.
Well, Fallout 1 was such it was a genre defining kind of game almost. In a lot of ways. So it was absolutely worth doing. Right. Are you going to do Fallout 2?
It depends. We're still trying to convince Jess.
Oh man,
she was not a fan. She was the one that pushed the idea in the first place.
Yeah. Well, it's a difficult. I remember, like I said last time, I remember when it came out and Sean played it. He was a huge fan. He loved that game, but that was in the moment at the time, and he was
right. Yeah, when that was was a cutting edge game.
Yeah.
But it was fun to see the lore from that first game and how much carries over with with the other game. So, so that was a lot of fun. But right now we're just doing the survival and having a good time.
Well, speaking of other games, I just have to mention, because it's kind of disappointing. I don't know if anybody's been following Redfall.
Oh yeah, I've seen some of that.
Speaking of fall, yeah, boy, it's getting just excoriated.
Crushed, yeah.
And which is surprising considering it's an arcane game. I mean, but man, it is getting ripped apart. So, which is sad. I was hoping to play it.
Yeah, I saw a lot of that, and I was like, oh god.
Yeah, I'm not going to spend $70 yet. Let's see if it's. I haven't read the reviews, so I don't know what all that's based on. Whether it's because it's buggy or whether it just sucks. So I don't know.
Yeah, it's so hard. Yeah, I'm kind of stacked up right now because since I got the new hard drive, I've loaded all of the different games that I've loved to play over the years.
Yeah.
And so I'm playing Stalker but one of the games that I reloaded was Cyberpunk.
Oh yeah,
which was just hammered, when it first came out.
Sure,
but my experience in the game was flawless. I didn't have any problems until they started patching it.
Oh god,
I didn't like the world from the get-go, frankly. I just and all the repeating NPCs, I found that really jarring, and so but in terms of the actual gameplay, I think you're right. I thought the combat was decent, things seemed to work, but I didn't play very far in the game. So
yeah, I played quite a bit in the game, but it is most of the time I call it cyber porn.
Yeah,
because all of the advertising, all the billboards and all the talking ads and everything, it's all sex this and sex that.
Yeah. It reminded me a little bit in terms of like the way it felt from the beginning. It reminded me of the first oh god, now I've lost it. It's become a series now. The guy who's the hacker,
Mr. Robot.
No. Yeah. Anyway, Caleb, you have a little machine and you can hack into all the cameras in the wherever you are and stuff. Boy. Yeah.
Hitman?
Nope. I'll find it. It's not that important, but it reminded me of that game a little bit. Whatever it was, it seemed like it was decent, but to me, anyway, it was a little empty.
Deus Ex.
Yeah, I'll find it in a minute. But
I'll just keep guessing.
Yeah. Oh yeah, keep going there.
But yeah, it's so game reviews are I'll watch a few videos. I typically don't buy games right out the gate. I mean, Starfield will certainly be the exception.
Yeah.
But the last game that I bought pre-ordered was I think
Watch Dogs. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Was No Man's Sky.
Yep.
And then, of course, everybody was bagging on that, and I was like, "What? It was really fun."
It was. I spent a lot of time just sort of destroying towers of crystals and stuff like that. It was just, it was fun. And you're right. All these games, they're done by big professional studios, and they have a lot of good stuff. And Arcane's another big professional studio. I'm sure the game has a lot to offer. People love to pile on, especially if they smell blood in the water.
Yeah. Well, and if it's buggy, then they'll hammer at it until they come out with a patch.
Oh yeah. No, they will. Have you played any of Hogwarts at all, or
no?
Yeah, not interested.
Yeah. Well, that's just not my style of game.
Yeah.
I'm really waiting on the new Stalker.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess chat's about to go wild.
I went back to Call of Pripyat, and holy crap, it's such a hard game.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. It's a lot of reloading.
Yeah, I farted around with all of them. I never got very far in them.
Yeah, I've played through all three of them.
Yeah.
But Call of Pripyat's the easiest one to get back into because it's the most recent one.
Yeah, it looks good.
Yeah.
I like the Metro games. I think I liked a little bit.
Well, if you want to add in your feedback into the Daedric Roundtable thing we're doing, just you can send an email to SkyrimAddictpodcast@gmail.com. Audio or text, either way, totally fine. And let us know if you added any mods or if you played through vanilla or which one you chose and why and all that kind of stuff. So feel free to hop in with that, and we'll be back next time. All right, thanks everybody.
Bye all.
Good night.